right, so here we are. We are recording our very first C-word interview. My name is Stefania Pomponi. I'm one of the co-founders of Clever Girls Collective, and I'm here with Kathryn Minshew, who's the founder and CEO of the Muse. You can follow her at Kmin, at K-M-I-N on Twitter. The Muse, if you don't know, is a rapidly growing community of 3 million professionals who believe that kicking ass and taking names is all part of the job. We like that. So if you're looking for a job or focused on getting ahead in your current role, or just asking what you want to do with your life, you definitely want to check out the Muse. They have engaging job search, career advice, the whole nine, help you develop professionally with your career in all aspects. So we're delighted to speak with Kathryn today. I met her at the Dent conference last month in Sun Valley, where she was actually speaking. And when we were thinking about tech rock stars to interview for this series, immediately Kathryn came to mind, and she agreed to do it. So we're delighted to have her here today. Welcome, Kathryn.
I'm excited.
Yay.
I'm very excited to be here.
Great. So we are going to dive in with some questions and give Kathryn a chance to share a little bit about herself. So here we go. So Kathryn, describe what you do in 20 words or less.
Right. I help people figure out what they want to do with their lives, where they want to be in 5 years, and how to get there.
Awesome. Love it. And then what makes the Muse clever? We're all about cleverness. We want to know what makes you clever.
Yeah, I think we took something that's been done one way for, 20 years and are doing it in a very different way. And in particular, I think that's, helping people make career decisions. When I was used to work for McKinsey & Company and as a management consultant, and I knew I wanted to do something else, so I went to about 5 different job boards, and they all pretty much functioned the same. It was like a newspaper classified ad online. You would type in some keywords, and you'd get 5,000 results, with the title and the description and the logo. And every description was, we're looking for an innovative, results-driven environment, a team player. They're the same. Mm-hmm. And so I think, the kind of first idea we had, which I definitely think was clever, to use your word, was to really take the focus off this laundry list and make it an interactive visual experience based on fit, where a job seeker could actually see photos of the office that they'd be joining and videos of employees who already work there, talking about what it's like a typical day and what they love about it, to really kind of add some efficiency and some more information into the process, and hopefully make both individuals and employers a lot happier with the outcome.
Mm-hmm. That is so key, the visual aspect, because we can only do so much from the outside looking in looking for a job, but we never usually get a sneak peek inside the company until we're there, until we're talking, until we step through the front doors and take a look around. So the fact that you're addressing that initially is genius. Very clever.
Thank you.
Yeah. So growing up, is this what you picked that you'd be doing for yourself, or did you have other aspirations?
Yeah, it was not at all what I thought I'd be doing. I was a very inventive kid. So when I was really little, I wanted to be a superhero. I actually specifically Zorro. Not really, he didn't have any superpowers, but he's just like awesome and, masked.
Yep.
So I guess for most of my kind of pre-adult life, I really wanted to be an ambassador or a CIA agent. And it's funny because one of my theories about careers, which is very kind of important to how we think about the Muse, is that most kids grow up with a really limited idea of what they can do, doctor, lawyer, fireman, etc. Mm-hmm. And that everything after that is either what their parents and their parents' friends do or what they see on TV. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was watching the television show Alias with Jennifer Garner as Sydney Bristow and thinking, she is so cool and she seems so smart and, she's got this really glamorous life. And I, too, want to be like her. So obviously the ideal career is something in the foreign service. And it wasn't really until, a number of different experiences kind of stumbled me into this role that I even knew that technology startups were a thing and that you could start your own business. So mm-hmm. I'm really glad that I discovered this sooner rather than later.
That's really cool. I know. I think once you get out into the real world and start looking at what can I do, and then just decide on something, choose something, then I don't know if you're the same, but I start thinking, okay, what else could I do? You know, I didn't stumble on this role until I was 40. So, you know, from 20 to 40, it was a lot of, well, I could do this and I can do that, and doing different things. And every, I guess every job or career kind of change that I had led to the next and keeps me thinking about the next, which is pretty exciting. If your life is long, hopefully you can do lots of different things.
Exactly. And that's why I really love both informational interviews and just more casual coffees with new people, because I think you discover sometimes the most fascinating jobs that exist you never even know about. I mean, I have a good friend from college who is now working on a law firm that does a lot of the legal work for Broadway shows. And as someone who was a theater buff growing up, I didn't even imagine that you could end up in a career like that. I think it's kind of exciting to find out that things like that exist.
Really cool. Yes. Really inspiring. Okay. So here's a fun one. If you could call yourself 5 years ago, backing up in time, and you had 30 seconds, what would you say to yourself?
I would tell myself that I was going to learn a lot from my first job, and it was okay if I didn't like it. That I wasn't probably going to like it very much, but it didn't matter because there were really great things that I did love down the line, and so I should just focus on my first job, on learning as much as I could, and getting better at the skills that I would need to do what I'm doing now, which is meeting new people and problem solving and Microsoft Excel and business basics. But to not sweat not loving it.
Yeah. So yes, definitely good advice for all of you out there right now who don't love what you're doing. Just soak it all in. Soak in.
I thought there was something kind of wrong with me for being in this job that was kind of de-energizing and a little depressing. And now I look back and realize, like, A, it was a bad cultural fit, and B, I learned a lot. Like, that's what I got out of it. And sometimes you have to go through those steps, I think, to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely. Okay. So regarding social media, since that's the clever girls realm, what do you see out there? What do you think is something that everyone is doing wrong or not cleverly?
Interesting. I think that there are definitely a lot of people who use social media as a bullhorn rather than a two-way street. That's not a particularly original thing, because I think that people talk a lot about how the importance of social media is the ability to interact one-on-one with a number of people anywhere in the world based on mutual interests and and sort of asynchronous conversation. But I do think it is really important to invest the time to let your personality come on social media and to find other people and again, to engage back and forth and to personalize rather than simply kind of blasting a message. On a more pedestrian level, I also am always surprised of how many people don't realize that if you start a tweet with an @ reply or an @ sign, it only gets shown to people who follow the two of you. We had this great piece on the Muse.com about mystery dot, which is when people put a period in front of an @ reply so that it goes out to their whole followers. But I see people all the time tweeting at me intending to share this message, but it never goes anywhere because they just start with the @ sign, and Twitter interprets it as a private, semi-private message versus a public tweet.
That's right. So yes, remembering that social media, the social part is important. It's a two-way street. It's not to be afraid to inject some personality into what you're doing online. People are connecting, socially. They're connecting with you as a person, even if you're representing the brand or the company or the service. And yes, don't forget to put a period. It doesn't have to be a period, but it's convenient to put a period or a word in front of that initial @ so to make sure that the person who you're tweeting gets your tweet, sees your tweet, and everyone else. Okay, taking it to a more positive level, what's your favorite online time suck? Where do you just get lost and an hour later you go, oh my gosh, can't believe I've been here for an hour?
So I really love going deep on a particular topic. Today I actually started on a Wikipedia entry. So Wikipedia is a big time suck for me. I started on a Wikipedia entry about the musical Jekyll and Hyde on Broadway. And I ended up on all of these related pages, about the star right now who was on American Idol, and about David Hasselhoff, who was in it in like the 90s. And anyway, all this stuff. And I'm just like a voracious reader. So Wikipedia is really dangerous. More recently, Jezebel. It's very like snarky feminist wit. And I find it so positive for my day to have this kind of best friend companion just like talking smack about all the crazy stuff that's going on in the news. So Jezebel is a big time suck for me. And then BuzzFeed, like, I try not to go on it very frequently because otherwise I could just spend a really long time with pictures of cats.
It's true. Yeah, BuzzFeed and Reddit are sort of my end of the day. That my end of the daytime suck, because if I start, I do start the day just looking at BuzzFeed quickly, but it can very easily turn into a journey that goes on and on.
Exactly.
Cool. Okay, so let's get Groundhog Day for a minute. If you could relive one moment in time over and over and over again, maybe not repeatedly, but a moment that resonates, that you could relive, what is that for you?
I think there's probably a couple, but the one that comes to mind is the day that we got into Y Combinator at the Muse. And it wasn't just, we were really excited that we had gotten into Y Combinator, but it was a lot more than that. I think when my co-founders Alex and Melissa and I started the Muse, we knew it was going to be an uphill battle, particularly to get funding and respect, but I don't think we entirely realized how hard it would be. And when we did our Y Combinator interview, we were in debt. We were super broke. We had been, turned down by almost every investor in the city of New York. And we had one investor that was really well known say that she wanted to invest, and the morning of the Y Combinator interview, she emailed me and said she was not interested anymore. And it was so upsetting that I didn't tell my co-founders because I didn't want to ruin the day for them. And so we did the interview and we felt so good about it. And we went to see a movie afterwards because they call you that night to let you know. And I had my phone sitting, face up on the armrest in the movie, and it lit up with an unknown number from Palo Alto or Mountain View or whatever. And I just go tearing out of the theater, and Alex and Melissa followed, and we were like running up and down the corridors of this like Regal Cinemax in Palo Alto, like screaming, while Paul Graham was like, "We want to accept you." Yay! And it was so powerful on a couple levels. It comes with funding, so it basically meant that we weren't going to have to starve or fire anyone. And it was kind of the first validation that we had achieved, and it was just such a desperately needed moment that it was one of the ones I would definitely relive a couple times if I could.
Yes, that's awesome. Well, so yes, one door closes and another opens. What was it that I'm just curious, because we have heard probably similar feedback from potential funders. What was it that they kept telling you over and over again? And I know we're going a little bit off track here. Well, no, we're just going to stay on track. But what was it that they were telling you over and over again? And, how did you take that feedback and, turn it around so that you could, keep going and get to that Y Combinator point?
So we got turned down by 148 investors in the fall of 2011. And the feedback was, so we had some people who were just outright, had ridiculous ideas about women. When the Muse got its start, we were totally focused on smart, brilliant women. We now have a lot of men on the platform, but what we heard in the first days was, how many women actually work? Of those that work, like how many really care about their jobs? If women really wanted to think about work and career, wouldn't it be in Cosmo? Aren't you going to lose all your users when they have babies? Most women don't work after that. We got a lot of comments to the effect of this is a terrible idea because women don't actually care about their career. And at the very least, it was helpful because I knew that that was bullshit.
Yeah.
And so it enabled me to kind of move past. A lot of the other comments we got are around, is this scalable? And it inspired a lot of like very serious conversations between Alex and Melissa and I, where we ultimately decided we deeply believed that it was scalable. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to communicate and convince someone else, within the context of a pitch meeting. So I think those were kind of the big comments we got in, it's like late 2011 when we were getting started. But, we were lucky enough in that I think Y Combinator kind of saw past some of those early comments and just said, well, people clearly love what you're building, so we're going to take a chance that you're going to figure some of these things out, and we did.
Yeah.
Still
sounds so familiar. I mean, we have clever girls in our name, but our company of almost 26 is mostly women, and I would venture to say that they do care about their jobs and their careers.
Amazing, right?
Amazing. Okay, so do you have any secret talents? Anything we don't know?
Yes, I have great aim. I grew up mostly in Washington, D.C., but I was born in Texas. So I was shooting bows and arrows and BB guns at, targets when I was probably 7 or 8 years old. So I just have really good aim. And it came in handy about 5 years ago when I spent time in Ecuador with an indigenous group called the Warani. I was out there for about 4 weeks. And at one point, they traditionally hunt with blowguns. So at one point, they put a banana on, top of this, pole. And then we all got taking turns to, shoot at it with a blowgun. And I impressed everyone with my incredible blow-darting banana skills. So I'm very proud of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Katniss Everdeen, take note.
Exactly. I, really want to be her, minus the creepy dystopian Hunger Games thing. But yes, exactly. That's one of my many secret talents.
Nice, love it. And you also mentioned your karaoke talents, but we won't go there. Okay. So lastly, as we wrap this up, Kathryn, and thank you so much, what's your favorite C word? Ours obviously is clever, but do you have a favorite C word?
I love creative. I think that is at the core of so much of what I do and what I love. And, in particular, the ability to take often bad situations and come up with really just crazy, creative, kind of unconventional solutions to them. So I'd say that's my favorite. I'm sure I can think of a couple more good ones, too.
Awesome. Kathryn is creative. She is the CEO and co-founder of themuse.com. You can follow her at Kmin on Twitter. Thank you so much for talking to us today. You are our very first C-word interviewee, and I think it went great. Thank you.
Well, I'm so happy to do it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.